Well, it is an amazing reception here, especially for a film that I'm so incredibly proud of. A film that, took 7 years to put up on screen. There was something about the very nature of who these people were ever since 2008 that I desperately wanted to do a movie about, because this attitude is incredibly damaging in our culture, in the world, in the modern world that we live in today. So, thank God I got Martin Scorsese to be the director of it, because there's no one that could capture, the essence of who people are, for better or worse, and be authentic about it than Martin Scorsese. Oh, I got the opportunity to work with some tremendous actors in this film, and I think all of us went into this endeavor with the attitude that we were going to push the envelope. We were going to go to utter extremes. And it was a very freeing process, because Marty wanted us to constantly improvise. It was a process beforehand where we improvised the material, rewrote it, and then rewrote that material and improvised it again. So it was this constant creative process, and it made for some pretty unforgettable performances and unforgettable sequences. I think that they're going to be submerged into an entirely different hedonistic reality. I like to call it a modern day fall of the Roman Empire. So I hope people enjoy it, and I hope people, ultimately realize that it's a cautionary tale, that, we're trying to show these people for who they really are. And some people will get it, and some people won't. Hopefully they get it.
Tell us a bit about your character and what it was like working with the ultimate leading man, Leonardo DiCaprio.
It was wonderful. My character's a bit of a badass, and you kind of need someone who's got a big personality to stand up to Leo's character, Jordan, because he's got a very big personality as well. So I think they made a great duo.
Of course, it's a very brave performance. We get to see a lot of you, both emotionally and literally. Can you talk a little bit? Were you nervous about that, and how do you prepare for something like that?
I guess it was daunting leading up to it, but then on the day it all became just very technical, and it was about just getting the job done. There's a very limited amount of time to shoot things like that on set, so the sooner I got it done, the sooner I could put my clothes back on, really.
Does it reassure you having a master filmmaker like Martin Scorsese behind the camera? I mean, what do you think makes him one of the finest filmmakers of his generation?
I think he really takes the time to explore characters. I think a lot of people overlook that, and they focus on plots more than the characters, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's also interesting to have the movies that really take the time to explore characters, and I mean, you got a 3-hour film, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Yeah.
There's a lot of drinking in the film. Who can hold the drink better, either you or Leo?
I'm an Aussie. Are you kidding me? I can drink any of them under the table. Yeah, any of them. Absolutely.
Drink of choice?
Well, I've at the moment tequila, actually. For a while, I really went off it after a trip to Mexico, but. Just straight tequila. But it's actually, I had a doctor once tell me that if you're going to drink anything, it should be tequila, because it's easier for your body to digest. I'm not recommending everyone go out and drink tequila. I'm just saying that it is my current drink of choice.
Not doing dry January.
Pardon?
You know where you don't drink in the month of January? Are you doing?
Oh God, no. What a silly idea. A ridiculous notion. No.
One last question.
What was the atmosphere like on set? Obviously, it's full of wild parties on screen. What was it like with the boys? I mean, because you are one of the kind of the leading female presences on the set. What was that like?
It was a bit of a boys' club. It was definitely a bit of a wolf pack, but I liked that. It was really fun to have a million older brothers around there. They kind of took me under their wing. It was really nice. It was very much a fun, liberated atmosphere on set. It was like one long party. Yeah, the nursery scene. Yeah.
That one was pretty risky.
Yeah, it was a little risque. It was a lot more risque, and they cut a lot of it out, so you guys haven't seen half of it. Not even half of it. That was the audition scene. Yeah.
I mean, your New Jersey accent is pretty spot on.
Brooklyn Bay Ridge, actually. Thank you. Yeah, no, it was a combination. It was a lot of work, and we had a fantastic dialect coach on set there to make sure I didn't stray. So yeah, it was really, really good.
Why do you think Hollywood loves bad boys? I mean, this is a depiction of two rogue trainers.
It's funny you say that. They love the bad boys, but they like the flawed bad boy. You know, they like the hero that's a bit of a mess. You know, like Iron Man. He's like the unconventional hero. You know, I don't know. Everyone, I guess it's more easy to relate to someone who's flawed, and people can relate to that.
Your relationship with Leonardo's character is right at the heart of this film. Can you talk a little bit about working with him and the dynamic between the two of you on screen?
He's brilliant, I think he's the best actor of his generation, and to me, when you work with people who are that great, they just elevate you to a different level.
Of course, that also applies to Martin Scorsese, a genius director. What makes him so special, and how was your experience working with him?
He's the greatest director of all time, hands down.
This film's got various wild parties in it. What's the wildest party you've ever been to? And what's happened?
It's a good question. I'd have to think about that. There have been some good ones over the years.
Oh, really? Nothing you can tell us?
There have been some good times.
Jonah, can we talk about those teeth? They were glaringly white.
Yes.
How was it? Were they like attached to your real teeth, or like how did it work?
You could take them in and out, but I had a horrible lisp, and so I had to talk with them for an hour and a half every day for a month ahead of time to nail the accent and get rid of the lisp. So I would call different businesses as Donnie and talk on the phone for an hour and a half every day.
A fantastic book, an incredible true story. How difficult was it to take what was on the page and what really happened and bring it to life on screen? What were the biggest challenges for you guys?
I think it was quite challenging to make a story which is true with all the debauchery and the hedonism, but once you have people like Scorsese and DiCaprio, it really makes that job slightly more easier, because Scorsese is one of the few guys who can strike that balance between seeing a world which is that ugly, but also make it fun for 3 hours and you enjoy the ride. So having those guys on board made it so much more easier.
Yeah, and I also have to take my hat off to Terry Winters for being able to crack the script the way he did. There's an enormous amount of content here over the span of at least 10 years, and he was really able to distill down what you see on the screen today. And, like Riza said, Marty and Leo just have a gift for making every scene fast and fun. It's great.
Of course, the film is a lot of fun, but I guess that's provoked a lot of comment on whether or not it maybe goes a little far in terms of glamorizing, Jordan's actions. I mean, how do you respond to those kinds of criticisms from people?
It was never our intention to do that, to glorify or make it look like a good world, because it wasn't. But what Scorsese would always tell us is that if you are authentic and true to the characters and the world, then people will forgive anything. And if you do start to sugarcoat and dilute that world and all its ugliness, then that's when you glorify things.
Yeah, and I think really the only glorifying that we did was the fact that Leonardo is playing Jordan Belfort and Martin Scorsese is directing. There's nothing glamorous about being addicted to drugs, alcohol, greed, power, and sex. Like I said, but when Leo's playing the part, I guess that's where the glamour lies.
There's such a great chemistry between Leonardo and Jonah. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of that relationship on set and on screen?
I think having Jonah on the movie, first of all, is actually very important to show that this movie is meant to be a satire, meant to be a dark comedy. And, those two guys, they will riff off each other a lot on set and having those improvisational moments, which then leads to movie magic. So a lot of it, is good on what is on script, but having those two guys just come up with this kind of moments of comedic genius, it's pretty amazing to watch. Very important for the movie.
Yeah, when you have Wall Street in your title, I think people think it's just going to be another Wall Street scandal or another rise and fall. So I think when we brought Jonah on board, it lightened the tone, like Riza had said, and let people breathe a little bit, have fun with it.
You guys are also part of Matthew McConaughey's career rejuvenation. He had an amazing cameo in this. It's an incredible cameo. How did that all come about?
Honestly, Martin Scorsese and Ellen Lewis, our casting director, that's one of their strongest points, is bringing the right actors to the roles. And Matthew's had an amazing year with Mud, Dallas Buyers, and Wolf of Wall Street, and he was the perfect fit. And what he did for the Mark Hanna role was larger than life and more than any of us could have expected.
I think if you could have a Best Supporting Actor nomination for a 5-minute scene, he would have to definitely be a shoo-in for that one.